My name is Alison Gemmell, a Troon resident for many years, and the third generation Gemmell to live there. My grandparents came originally from Govan, Glasgow, to live and work in Troon in the early 20th century, when my grandfather, James Gemmell, took a job at the Ailsa shipyard. The first evidence of this is a letter dated July the 24th, 1907, arranging a job interview. He had written, presumably inquiring about an advertised position. James Gemmell's background was as a marine engineer. Having been brought up in Govan, he learned his trade at the Albion Works, Whitefield Works and Fairfield Shipbuilding Yard, before going to sea as a marine engineer in various ships from 1896 to 1903. Voyages took him to many different countries, many in hot climes. Sadly, he contracted an illness, probably malaria, which meant these voyages were no longer possible. Hence, the return to a shipyard job. Much of the story put together here has come from paper qualifications, voyage records, photographs and letters. These sources have come from my own records, those of my cousin Elizabeth Satherin, daughter of my father's brother George Gemmell, as well as those of my late sisters Eileen and Marilyn Gemmell, Manna Hazlitt. However, the main source which has told the story has come from family postcards, over 30 of them, which are a testament to the family's move to Troon, their settlement and movements within Troon, their connections with family and friends, and events of the times they were living in. The evidence of the postcards. These postcards can be seen as today's texts, brief messages charting the lives of people in the very early 20th century. Postage was cheap and efficient at a time when telephones were not widely available to working people wanting to make arrangements. The postcards show the family's move to Troon, from Welbeck Crescent to Titchfield Road, back to Welbeck Crescent, each move perhaps an improvement in living conditions, but also illustrating the difficulties of finding suitable accommodation for workers when private rental was the only option. The Troon connection began in 1907, when my grandfather, James Gemmell, was invited to interview by the management of the Ailsa Shipbuilding Company, Troon. The interview took place in Glasgow, where he was living at the time, on 26 July 1907. It would seem he was successful, as he appears to have begun work by 9th August, as evidenced by the postcards addressed to him at an address in Temple Hill. One said 115 and the other 116, so presumably one was a mistake. Both of these addresses are shown on the valuation roll as being owned by Mary Ann Wiley per James Wiley, shipping agent. This was probably a short-term lead, since the family were soon settled at 41 Welbeck Crescent by September 1907. The address was care of Mrs. Kirkland, and the valuation roll of that year shows the main tenant to be John Kirkland, joiner. It would appear that there was more than one new recruit at Ailsa at that time, since one postcard refers to the other engineer in terms of room to rent. Living conditions. The family consisted of James, his wife, my grandmother Elizabeth, née Shannon, and their two boys, George and James, my uncle and father respectively. The accommodation at 41 Welbeck Crescent is hard to determine exactly, but may have consisted of a room with a range or some cooking facility, as the postcard says, kitchen. There could have been bed recesses. By July 1908, the family had moved to Ailsa Terrace, Titchfield Road, and cards were addressed to there or to Carrick Terrace until October 1909. By June 1910, the family was at 55 Welbeck Crescent, where they remained until the 1920s. The 1923-24 valuation roll shows the tenant as James Gemmills, Sikh, marine engineer at Alexander Villa, Welbeck Crescent. Presumably this was number 55, judging by the other numbering on the roll. The next move was to 136 138 Welbeck Crescent. The valuation roll for 1931-32 shows James Gemmills, marine engineer, at 136. There is a discrepancy in that 138 was the number of the upper flat and is where they lived within family memory, stretching back to the mid-1940s. However, the postcard addresses say 136, as do other items of correspondence, until at least 1939. So presumably at some stage, numbering in Welbeck Crescent was adjusted. My grandmother remained at 138 until her death in 1971. The moves demonstrate the difficulties obtaining suitable accommodation for workers and their families in days when private rentals were the only option. Possibly each move was some kind of improvement. It is also notable that all these addresses were within easy working distance from the shipyard. James Gemmills, marine engineer. He was born on the 2nd of October 1873 to George Gemmills, master house painter, and Mary Gemmills, maiden surname Hare, in Govan, Glasgow. They lived at Eden Villa, Carmichael Street, Govan. He began work in the shipyards and engineering works in Govan, at Albion Works off Copeland Road, at Ross and Duncan, and at Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company. He then transferred to seagoing engineering work, first as second engineer on the SS Edlington and various other ships from 1896 until 1903. Many of these ships were ships of the Clan Line. His journeys took him to Dublin, New Orleans, Quebec, New York, Hamburg, Bombay, Calcutta, Colombo, South Africa, amongst other places. Unfortunately, he contracted illness, possibly malaria, and his final discharge was from the Clan Mackay en route to South Africa, when he had to leave the ship at Greenock, marked 13-2-03, left sick. His illness prevented him from further overseas journeys, so he resumed work in the shipyards, hence his application to Ailsa in 1907. At Ailsa. My grandfather's work at Ailsa appears to have been steady, and he became foreman in the engineering workshop. He seems to have been well regarded. Some years ago I had a conversation with the late Jackie MacDonald, who remembered my grandfather in his role as foreman, and also my grandmother. He said if any of the apprentices stepped out of line, they were often sent round to Welbeck Crescent. I believe they were given work on some tasks such as chopping sticks for the firewood. Imagine that happening today. She apparently had the welfare of the work at Ailsa at heart, and she was sometimes seen checking up on those who exceeded their statutory breakdowns. She was a formidable lady. James Gemmills had a long innings at the Ailsa Yard, from 1907 until 1946, when illness caught up with him. 39 years, by which time he was 72. He did not have long to retire. 2 letters written to my father from the shipyard in August and September 1946 testify to his work and final illness with his payoff arrangements. He died on the 2nd of September 1946. Memories of Welbeck Crescent. The upper flat, number 138, is the only residence I can remember. The external stairs led to a porch with glass windows. Through the second door was a large hallway or lobby. To the right was the sitting room or parlour, the room kept for best, with decidedly Victorian Edwardian furniture. Beyond that was a bedroom. To the left was a bathroom, a truly regal affair. The WC, complete with pull chain, was on a platform or pedestal, a veritable throne that you mounted to use. The bath was wood-panelled, inside and out, tongue and groove panelling. I have never seen or heard of another. The main living area was straight ahead of the entrance. There was a large range with a coal fire. Cooking could be done there, and the ovens were always warm. There was an armchair and upright chairs by a table permanently covered with a velour cloth. Off this room was a kitchenette with a gas cooker, sink and cupboards. Originally there had been 2 bed recesses, but by the 1950s one had been converted to a walk-in cupboard storage area. My grandmother, by then a widow, slept in the other. The lighting was by gas. She did not have electricity installed until the 1960s. When my late sister Manna and I visited Miss Toward's flat in Glasgow, we both remarked that Grandma Gemmills' flat was much better. The view from the back window was of the miners' welfare home, with its beautifully kept gardens. Final years. Elizabeth Gemmill, née Shannon, lived independently at 138 Welbeck Crescent until the age of 96, remaining active until shortly before her death. Acknowledgements, sources. Family documents, records. Research by Elizabeth Sutherland on Shannon family using Ancestry UK. Research by Alison Gemmell using Wikipedia. Postcards. Who were they? Number 1. The Gemmills had moved from Brighton Place, Govan, to Troon, so JJ was likely a former neighbour. Postcard 2. David Gemmell, brother of James Gemmell, also involved in shipbuilding. 9th of August 1907, reference to the strike in Belfast. A dockers' strike had been called in Belfast, July 1907, the issue being pay and conditions. But the situation was complex, particularly after the police were called in to deal with the trouble. They had sympathy with the strikers and refused to take the action the government wanted. British Army troops were sent in. The strike ended August the 28th, though there was further trouble later. 4. Several postcards from Kate, who was a friend of Liz Gemmell. 5. David Shannon, brother to Liz Gemmell, also involved in ship engineering, see more below. Address here, Craigton Govan, by September 6 in Barrow-in-Furness, from where other postcards were sent. Cards 22, 25 and 27. George Gemmell, brother to James Gemmell, also a shipyard engineer, by 1908-9, also living and working in Barrow-in-Furness. Both brothers seemed keen on encouraging the young nephew George to take an interest in ships by drawing them. HRJMS Congo, built in Barrow-in-Furness for the Imperial Japanese Navy. The keel laid in 1911 by the Vickers Shipbuilding Company. It was one of the most heavily armed of any ship built to that date, and the last Japanese capital ship built outside Japan. It was commissioned in 1913 and patrolled off the Chinese coast in World War I. It had two major reconstructions, served in World War II, and was sunk in the Formosa Strait in November 1944. The wreck has never been located. Cards 26 and 27. Liz Gemmills' sisters, Hannah and Jessie. Jessie was married to Archie Leach, and Hannah eventually emigrated to Canada. She later returned and married James Yule. She died aged only 32. 30. Airship wreck. Known as the Mayflower, the airship was designed and built by Vickers' sons and Maxim at Barrow-in-Furness. It was intended as an airship for the Royal Navy, as competition to the German Navy, which had several successful Zeppelin airships. When it was moved from its shed in Cavendish Dock, after many modifications to lighten it, it was caught by a gust of wind, rolled over and broke in two on September the 24th, 1911. It was put back in the shed and nothing was done with it until a new First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, decided not to pursue airship construction and concentrate on aircraft for defence. The cost was over £4 million in today's money. 32. Postcard from Germany dated 1913, the year before the Great War. Interesting to speculate as to why David Shannon was in Germany. By that time, he was employed by Cannell Laird and Company, Birkenhead, as head of their diesel engine department. He subsequently had an interesting career, as outlined in his obituary in 1933. 1. Contents. Sender's address. 16 Brighton Place, Glasgow. Most writing is hard to read, but seems to be a goodwill message for starting a new situation. Signed, JJ, probably a former neighbour. 1. Picture, Royal Exchange, Glasgow. Date, August the 9th, 1907. Addressed to Mr. James Gemmell. Care of Mrs. Scroggy, 115 Temple Hill, Troon. 2. Contents. Hope you like your new place and settle permanent. All streets here are guarded by soldiers from 9 to 5. Biz is a bit better now. Write soon. Your loving brother, David. Holidays are off until strike is settled. Picture. Cartoon style of horse-drawn open coach, title The Long Car. Addressed to Mr. James Gemmell, 116 Temple Hill, Troon. Date August the 7th, 1907. Postmark Belfast. August the 9th, 1907. 3. Contents. Friday, 9:45 a.m. Dear Liz, yours received. Will write tonight. Blankets will be required. The lady is giving us the kitchen in preference to the room for the children. Mrs. Cochrane is the wife of the other engineer who got the other kitchen. I will let you know the train, or you could write. Yours ever, Jim. Picture, SS Lusitania. The date was deleted, stamp removed. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 15 Brighton Place, Govan. 4. Contents. I have been busier this week than I thought possible. If you can manage down on Saturday with husband and son, I will be very pleased indeed. If not, come down on Monday afternoon if you can. With love, Kate. Picture Water Row, Old Govan. Date 12:15 p.m. September the 7th, 1907. Postmark Bridge of Weir. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 15 Brighton Place, Govan. 5. Contents. Dear David, you may put me down for January the 26th. My subject will be the greatness of truth. With kind regards, Alan C. Haggerty. Picture RMTS Viper steamship. Date 2:45 p.m. July the 12th, 1907. Postmark Belfast. Addressed to Mr. David Shannon, Ferndale, Maryland Drive, Craigton, Glasgow. 6. Contents. Got your welcome letter. Glad to hear you like Troon and the prospects. Is Jim getting plenty of overtime? Hope you are all getting fat. From your affectionate brother, David. Picture number 4 submarine. Date 8:30 p.m. September the 26th, 1907. The crew on deck. Postmark Barrow-in-Furness. Addressed to Mrs. James Gemmell, care of Mrs. Kirkland, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 7. Contents. Photograph of toothpicks. What price the name? David. Picture Vickers Maxim Works Barrow. Date 2:30 p.m. December the 9th, 1907. Gun mounting department. Postmark Barrow-in-Furness. Addressed to Mrs. James Gemmell, care of Mrs. Kirkland, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, N.B. 8. Content. How does this compare with the Ailsa? Glad to hear you are so busy, David Shannon. Picture Vickers Maxim Works, Marine Engineering Department erecting pits. Barrow-in-Furness. Date D 9th, 1907. Addressed to Mr. James Gemmell, care of Mrs. Kirkland, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, N.B. 9. Content. Dear Lizzie, I'm thinking of taking a run down to see you on Sat, if all's well and if convenient to you. With love from Kate. Picture Buchanan Street, Glasgow. Date January 9th, 1908. Postmark Beath. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 10. Content. P.S. Mars, Princess Pier, Greenock. Dear L, how are you getting on? Are you already settled in your new house? I hope someone is keeping well. Drop a few lines to above address. Kate. 10. Picture Pole Farm, North End, Argyll. Date July the 12th, 1908. Postmark Greenock. Addressed to Mrs. J. Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 11. Content. 31/1/1908. Dear Jim, I was pleased to hear from you and glad you are well. We are all pretty well here. The cat was well when I heard from Lou last week. Love to you, Lizzie, and the children. Sherry. 11. Picture in Bridge in the Park, Birkenhead. Date January 1908. Postmark Birkenhead. Addressed to Mr. J. Gemmell, 41 Wildbeck Crescent, Troon. 12. Contents. My dear sister, have got back to work. What is your new address? Will write soon and send a list of things I want. When will Hannah manage through for a fortnight? This is a ship for Mrs. Nab, hoping you are all well and have got safely removed to Troon. Your affectionate brother, David. Picture, HMS Sentinel Scout Warship. Date May 9th, 1908. Postmark Barrow-in-Furness. Steaming 25.5 knots per hour. Addressed to Mrs. James Gemmell, care of Mrs. Kirkland, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, N.B. 13. Content 9508, 44 Highfield Road, B in F. Thanks for PC, trusting all of you are keeping better and looking forward to seeing you soon. Regards to all from yours sincerely, A.M. Wheaton Mason. Picture, Barrow-in-Furness Town Hall. Date, May the 9th, 1908. Postmark, Barrow-in-Furness. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. Content, 9508, 44 Highfield Road, B in F. Content, mainly greetings and inquiring after family's health. One signed Kate, other giving address in Kingsborough Gardens. Both are difficult to read. Undated card, pictures, Convalescent Hospital, Southport, Promenade and Beach, Southport. Addressed to Mrs. J. James Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 14b. Content, mainly greetings and inquiring after family's health. One signed Kate, one giving address in Kingsborough Gardens. Both are difficult to read. 14b. Undated card, picture, Promenade and Beach, Southport. Addressed to Mrs. James Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 15. Content. Hard to make out, but general greetings including, I am very glad to know that Doddy is keeping better. Rest daily, weather very good, cold, and affectionate greetings with lots of XXX. 15. Picture, Dalmuir looking west. Date, ?08. Postmark, Dalmuir. One building is marked with an X. This is where we stay. Addressed to Mrs. J. Gemmell, 41 Welbeck Crescent, Troon. 16a. Spent a nice day here. Love, H. Addressed to Mrs. J. Gemmell, Ailsa Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. 16b. Contents. Had a lovely day round the lakes. Love, H. One of 2 holiday postcards from Sister Hannah. Picture, Grasmere Church. Dates July the 6th, July the 8th, 1908. Postmark, Ambleside. 17. Content. Dear Liz, arrived all well after a pleasant passage. Could not get aboard the Viper, but caught the Partridge. Mrs. Pollitt is here, also Izzy's 2 nieces from Stirling. We are going out for a turn. Will write Monday. Hope you get mail. Yours ever, Jim. Love and kisses to Jim and the boys. XXX. 17. Picture, a Kerry Colleen. Date July the 18th, 1908. Postmark Belfast. Addressed to Mrs. James Gemmell, Carrick Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. 18 on the back. I don't expect we will see you on the holiday. I start on Monday. On Saturday midday. Jean or Jen is at Girvan. Love to all from all. Picture Annette Boarding House, Dunoon. Date July the 23rd, 1908. Postmark Dunoon. Addressed to Mr. Jas Gemmell, Carrick Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. Content on front. Dear Jim, got yours all right, though it was from the young fellow himself. Glad you are having a good time. Hope Lizzie and the boys are well. 19. Content. Mother and I are having a delightful holiday at Douglas. The weather is glorious and everything looks beautiful. Kind regards to all. Agnes W. Picture Trains and People, Douglas, Isle of Man. Date July the 21st, 1909. Postmark Douglas. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, Ailsa Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. 20. Content 12/9/1909. Dear Jim, read your welcome letter. I did wonder why you had not written before, as it was your turn. Have sent 2 mags to you. Will write when I get a good chance, as I am working over all my available time. Love to all, David Shannon. Picture on board the Lady Evelyn. Postmark Barrow in Furness. Barrow to Fleetwood for Blackpool. Date September the 13th, 1909. Addressed to Jas Gemmell, Esquire, Carrick Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. Content. Dear Liz and Jim, this is quite near where we are staying and is considered the prettiest village in Scotland. We've had a great time and the weather has been good. Hope you have made yourselves quite at home. Love from H and J. Picture Kenmore. Kenmore from West. Date October the 23rd, 1909. Postmark Aberfeldy. Addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Gemmell, Carrick Terrace, Titchfield Road, Troon. Contents. Friday. DL. Started work today. Coming up next Thursday. Will let you know later what day I will be down. Expect to have a 3 or 4 weeks cruise on the HIJMS Congo, other side, about May, which I think would do me good. Much love, Jill. Picture HIJMS Congo in Buccleuch Dock, Barrow. Date and postmark absent due to removing stamp. Shows Warship and Crane. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 23. Contents. Wednesday. Leaving here on Friday morning. Arrive in Glasgow at 4:20 p.m. We'll get first train down. We are having very cold weather here. Compliments of the season to all at 55. Geo. Picture Ship HMS Hogue. Date the 30th December. Rest and postmark obscured but could be 1909. Address Mrs. Jas Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 24. Picture HMS Princess Royal. Date 8:30 p.m. April 24th, 2012. Buccleuch Dock, Barrow. Postmark smudged, Barrow in Furness. Addressed to Mrs. Jas Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. HMS Princess Royal. Date 8:30 p.m. April the 24th, 2012. Buccleuch Dock, Barrow. Postmark smudged, Barrow in Furness. Addressed to Mrs. Jas Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 25. Contents. Dear Jim, your drawing of the cruiser is excellent. This is a photo of a battleship cruiser. See how you can draw it. Much love, Uncle George. Picture. Japanese battle cruiser, Congo. No date or postmark, probably enclosed with a letter. 26. Contents. Dear Liz, I don't think that any of us will be the weekend. Archie has not got to get the holiday. I might come on Monday for the day if it is good. We have nearly got your big house taken. 8 rooms, how will that suit you? Love to the boys. Yours in haste, Jessie. Written in brackets across the top, I think David is coming tonight, Thursday. 26. Picture. Britain's bulwarks, except for Clyde HMTB Tigris. Date and postmark mainly obscured. Addressed to Mrs. Jas Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 27. Contents. So far every day is very nice. As I write this, we are just off Troon. By the by, I don't see Ordie. Had a good send-off. I am very glad to get away and don't think I'll come back in a hurry. Love to all, Hannah. Italics, unsure of handwriting. 27. Picture. Allen Line Royal Mail Steamer, Praetorian. Date and postmark torn off. Addressed to Mrs. Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 28. Contents. Postmark Barrow in Furness, 15/6/1910. Dear Jim, have you seen this boat cruising about? Has Liz seen about Geo's tooth? Hope you are all well. Write soon. Yours, David. 28. Picture. HMS Liverpool. Date and postmark PM July the 15th, 1910. Postmark partially obscured. Barrow in Furness. Addressed to James Gemmell, Esquire, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Scotland. 29. Dear Geo, many thanks for your welcome letter and sketch sub. Tell your mother I will write to her this week. I have changed my lodgings and staying at the seaside, just like Troon. Give my love to your mother and father and little Jim. Much love, Geo. 29. Picture. HMS Submarine D1 in Ramsden Dock, Barrow. Date and postmark 8:30 p.m. November the 21st, 1911. Addressed to Master G. Gemmell, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Ayrshire. 30. Contents. This is the great airship. Saw her on Sunday morning like this. Yours, Dave. The picture. Naval airship wreck. Date and postmark 10:45 a.m. September 25th, 1911. Addressed to James Gemmell, Esquire, 55 Welbeck Crescent, Troon, Scotland. 31. Contents. Will come down to see you on Friday night. I may be late. David. 31. Picture. SE and CR's date and postmark unreadable, except for Liverpool SS Queen. 32. Content. I'm glad to hear that Geo is quite well again. He will be at Troon when I get back. I'm keeping A1 and hope to be home in about 3 weeks. Was at Munich last weekend. Hoping you are all quite well. You will be having Geo up from Barrow. Yours, David. 32. Picture. Cartoon showing portly man with red nose being pulled on wheels. Date 17/3/1913. Postmark Nuremberg. Wording. Grub cum Gasmannsal, addressed to James Gemmell, Esquire. 33. Having a very enjoyable time. The weather has been fine. Have managed to bathe and golf every day. Thanks for getting my skirt done. I got it yesterday. Sissy. 33. From Port Patrick, signed Sissy. To Mrs. Gemmell, possibly 1919. Arrived without doing any damage and posted your PC without being tempted to read it. This will let you see where I won't be at 9 p.m. Kindest regards, be on the lookout for that photo soon. I hope the shop won't be too great, CR. Picture 34. From Prestwick to George Gemmell, Esquire, July 1919, redirected from Dalmellington. 35. Hope George has recovered from his stomach exertions. Has he spent all his money? Everything A1 here was in swimming with the ladies. David. 35. Picture. Invalids Walk, Bournemouth. To Mrs. J. Gemmell. Signed David, July 1919. 36. Are you having lots of fun down on the sands during this lovely weather? This photo is of a view of the village children taken in the glen. My little miss is the May Queen, with heaps of love and kisses from Mabel Hansford. Photo. Card of group of children around a maypole, addressed to Master James Gemmell, no date. 37. Dear Jim, having a good time. The weather is also very good. We are out most of the time. Yesterday I was at the art galleries. Yours, Sam. From Mount Florida to Master J. Gemmell, signed Sam, 4/9/1919. 38. Picture from Sweetheart Abbey, New Abbey, to Mrs. Gemmell, no signature, dated 30th of August, 1920. 39. We leave Thornhill on Friday with train about 12 o'clock. Should be in Troon about 3 or 4 o'clock. If we get trains at K to suit, we are all coming together. Have ordered a motor to station. Yours, Lizzie. Hope you got home safe. From Penpont, Thornhill, to Mr. J. Gemmell. Date probably 1920, in Grandma Gemmell's handwriting.